Welcome to Great Question. I'm your host, Alex Fleming, spellcaster, podcaster, and game designer. And thank you so much for tuning in. It's just me again this time, but I promise I'm going to be having some guests very soon. I'm just starting to schedule and record these, and I've actually got one in the can with a mystery guest that I'm very excited to share, so please stay tuned. I'm hoping next week I'll probably be able to have that out. But this week's been pretty exhausting. I've been really heavily involved with some secret plans that I can't talk about yet on the production side of things. And then it's also been a real audio-heavy week. So let's get into it. So here's my Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner update. If you haven't heard, Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner is a game that starts where most games stop, after the fighting is done. As Grem, a goblin janitor, you must race against the clock to keep things tidy and manage the lost and found. And I've also added a relax mode where you can now clean the dungeon at your own pace. Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner is coming out for PC and Mac in December of this year, so please make sure you're subscribed to the show for all the updates about it. So this last week, I successfully implemented the audio manager I've been trying to get working for the past 2 weeks, with a slight twist. So I already had some pretty simple Unity solution for just making sound effects. I did have sound effects in my game. I basically had an invisible object for each sound, and when I would need to call that sound in my code, I would look up that object and tell it to play its sound, which works, but it gets a little cumbersome now that I have a lot of sound effects in the game. So I decided to create a separate system that's just for keeping track of the music. I made a dedicated music manager script. It has a bunch of different methods built into it that changes the music depending on what state of the game you're in. So, for example, once the level begins, it'll basically put on a random song from this CD I've created of different metal, kind of heavy songs that get you just psyched for cleaning the dungeon. And then that starts to loop, and then when you beat the level and you go to the Lost and Found, it plays this very ambient, calm electronic music to let you know that it's chill time. You can relax. You don't have to be on your guard for a minute. And then I also updated relax mode, so it has different music from the challenge mode. So it doesn't, the heavy metal's only in challenge mode, only when you're trying to race against the clock for this game. And I also added a visual toggle for relax mode as well, so you can see visually not just that the time isn't going down, but also there's a little toggle at the top, and it says relax mode, so you can't miss it. So I fixed a few bugs as well, including a bug in the start menu, or in the sort of the start game menu. If you went to the options menu, if you hit escape before you created a game or loaded a save file, once you got out of the menu, the game broke. So that was kind of embarrassing, and I fixed that. Now you can use the menu and come back, and it works just fine. I don't really have separate music for when you lose. I know a lot of games, they do like a kind of music, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just not sure how it fits into the design yet. I want to do more playtesting first. I'm also not totally satisfied with the music that I have playing in relax mode. I might change that. But the game itself it's feeling really solid, and I'm really starting to think it's ready for some wider testing, and for me to start finishing up the last zone of the game. I haven't done anything but meditate on that last zone since my last card reading about what should I do with Zone 3, which I think it's episode 1, where I talk about that. Right now I've just been polishing the game engine, the UI around it, adding audio stuff. You getcha. So next week, I'm hoping to finish the last few odds and ends with the music implementation, polishing, and I think I'm going to release version 12 of the beta. So if you want to playtest, here's your opportunity. But what's really on my mind right now, it's not if the game is looking good, or to finish doing the third zone and doing my design there. But it's been tabletop RPGs. Of course, Dungeons and Dragons, the big one. It's a social game. It's a game I have been playing a lot of in general, but not so much lately. I haven't really been playing as much. And it's a game. It's a social game. You play with a group of people, so there's always personality conflicts. There's communication issues, but that's not really going on right now. I mean, we had some issues in my gaming group, but talked through them. It's not like anything imploded. But I'm also sitting on this rough draft of a D&D adventure that I haven't really done a lot with. And there's also been this like kind of Twitter discourse around Wizards of the Coasts, and anyway, I just haven't really been sure how to move forward. If I should move forward with this, what to do about it. I feel very in my feelings here. So I created this adventure. I've made a lot of adventures for my home D&D game. I've been a forever DM for a while, and so I wanted to make an adventure for Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner. It's called The Temple of the Clean One, and it would let you do a D&D adventure in the dungeon of Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner, but to create the mess that Graham is going to have to clean up. You can kill orcs if you want to murder orcs. You can talk to orcs and ally yourselves with them and figure out what other threats in the dungeons are. I created like a faction system. There's a couple of different factions of those who some NPCs, those that live in the dungeon and around it. And I did some work on trying to come up with like a way to customize adventure hooks based on who's in the party, what their backgrounds are, and their skills and those sorts of things. And how that would affect what you know about the situation, what you know about an adventure before getting into it. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that in the tarot portion of today. I'm getting ahead of myself. But so now let's first talk about the games I'm playing. Second of 3 objectives of this podcast complete. So here's what I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit Hearthstone and a lot of Dead Cells. Hearthstone I play because I like the game and I'm locked into their free-to-play model a little bit. I don't. It's a collectible card game like Magic the Gathering, so I have to buy cards either with in-game gold or real money, and I don't want to spend real money, so I try to play a little bit to earn the gold so I don't have to spend real money, but it gets tedious. Just playing a game because you feel like you have to. I hate free to play, but it is becoming very dominant. I do like that. Very dominant, excuse me. I do like that. Like I can play games for free, but it's a frustrating model. So I paid money for Dead Cells, and I was really excited because I was like, "Oh, cool! Pay money for a game, enjoy the game." And I've been a little frustrated because I like unlocked this thing. Let me talk about Dead Cells. Let me explain. It's an action platformer game with some roguelike elements. So I keep playing the same-ish levels with some random differences over and over again, trying to escape from this dungeon, I suppose, in a castle. And every time I start off the game, I have some different random things available to me. And as I progress, I earn stuff that I can use so that the next time I lose and have to start over, I start a little stronger, or I start with different weapons or something. It's very addictive. I've put most of my free time this week that hasn't been working on Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner or on this project that I can't talk about. But my free time, I went here, and so then I unlocked this thing where I found these like mummy sarcophagi and sarcophaguses. I don't know really how to pronounce it. So I found them, and this thing I got turns them into teleporters, teleported me to this new area. I thought, oh, that's so cool. But then it turned out I couldn't access that new area unless I bought some DLC content, and that was really frustrating. I almost did it, just because I was like, come on, I just earned this thing. I just got an unlock to these new areas, and I have to pay for these new areas. It was very frustrating. So I've really been enjoying Dead Cells, but yeah, I didn't like running up against that paywall. Although it was well done, it made me want to pay them an extra $5 very badly because I wanted that content. But I didn't do it. I did run around on one of my runs. They like keep track of how long you took to complete the level, and if you're under a certain time, you get a bonus. It's fun. There's lots of different things that encourage different playstyles. But one of the things, so there's random weapons, and I got this bow. It's called the infantry bow, and it has this very distinctive sound effect when it shoots an enemy at close range. It's this like pling. And I was listening closely to the game since I'd been working on a lot of game audio before that, and I noticed the pling was very slightly different every time I shot it. Just ever so slightly different. It sounded really good that way, actually, but it was like pling, 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 pling. And it just sounded very natural. And I remember seeing a video that was talking about varying the pitch of your sound effects, and I just thought, this just sounds too good. I need to incorporate that into Graham's sweeping sound effect. He's like a sweep. I want to vary that a tiny bit. So just because you hear the sound over and over and over and over again. Also, maybe the woohoos. I don't know, but I want to play with this concept. It sounded really good in the game that I had, or in Dead Cells. Okay, so that's what I've been playing. Let's move on. Let's mosey on down to the last section of the show, and let's get out of here. So I'm going to do some tarot card reading. I've got my Mythic deck here. These are Greek mythology tarot cards. I've been really enjoying them. But yeah, so I want to talk about this D&D thing. I'm going to shuffle the cards while I talk about it. So I'm used to having drama in my gaming group. That's the price you pay for playing a social game, right? You've got personalities that are colliding. But I just feel really burned out right now. So on the one hand, there's been against the people who make D&D to address issues of like the inherent racism in Dungeons and Dragons, in that there are races that are different, like on a fundamental level, on like a mechanical level, and there are like orcs are always evil. I don't want to get into all this stuff, into Orc Gate, and it the combination of having some personal drama in the past and then this kind of larger conversation. And I've been playing 5th edition for years now, and I have this friend who just started playing 5th edition. He's played some tabletop stuff in the past, more MMORPGs though. But he's been talking to me about all this new content, and I just can't get excited about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that I've reached my fill here, and I need to move on because there's other systems I'm excited about that I want to start maybe creating game worlds for, or that I'd like to play. But I made this adventure. I made the Temple of the Clean One, and I've got a rough draft of it. I've got maps. I've got random encounter tables. I've got instructions for the DM formatted in a way that, I mean, it's very rough, but there's an adventure there, and I don't know. I'm thinking I should just test it and see what people think, because I feel creatively uninspired. And so what I wanted to do with this, I wanted to use it as a perk for, like, if you pre-order Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner, you can get the Temple of the Clean One with it as an extra, as a perk. It's give you a reason to pre-order, or to maybe get a little, pay a little extra up front, and you get the bundle. because I'll be charging more for this eventually, or I was planning to, and then I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm losing confidence in the quality of the work. It's like, yeah, I'm going to publish this adventure, but it's not even really where my heart is. I feel because so much of it has been trying to map it to what I did in Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner, as opposed to just doing the things I like to do when I'm writing D&D adventures. So I'm going to draw a card, and I'm gonna look at it. I'm going to read a little from the book, and then we're going to call it a day. So here's my draw. What do I have here? The Six of Pentacles. Are you kidding me? Six of Pentacles? Okay, so if you follow me on Instagram, I'm at Sandwich Fleming. Post about this show there. I've been putting in my Instagram stories some of my daily draws with the Mythic Tarot deck. And I did a draw earlier, just as sort of like what's my deal for today, what's my guidance for today. That's usually what I ask for my daily draws. And the answer I got earlier was this card. It was a Six of Pentacles, so I know it pretty well without having to look at the book. I just looked at it earlier. It's Daedalus, and he is he's already been ruined because he killed his nephew, because his nephew was a young hotshot tradesman, and he was doing a better job than Daedalus, and so Daedalus murdered him, and he had to flee and all this stuff. But so here he is at King Minos, and King Minos is like, hey, I'll give you a lot of money. I'll give you these 6 pentacles if you do this work. Okay, I'm gonna have to relook it up because the connection's fading now, but it's just so crazy to see that again. One of those funny coincidences that makes this so compelling. Swords, no, pentacles, pentacles, pentacles. Ace, 3, 6, here we go. The card of the 6 of Pentacles portrays Daedalus on his knees in homage, hands clasped in a gesture of supplication. Seated before him on a golden throne, there is King Minos of Crete, a mature man with black hair and a beard and a swarthy complexion. Robed in regal purple, wearing a golden crown, in his hands the king holds 6 golden pentacles, offering them to Daedalus in a promise of future patronage. Behind the kneeling craftsman and the enthroned king can be seen the walls of Minos's palace, decorated with painted friezes of bull dancers and borders of grape-laden vines. It's a harmonious card, reflecting the renewal of faith, which accompanies Daedalus' successful flight to Crete in reward of the patronage of King Minos. Skipping down to on a divinatory level, the 6 of Pentacles augurs a situation where there is money or substance to be shared, and where the individual will himself or herself be called upon to offer generosity or be the recipient of another's generosity. Faith in life and in one's capacities is regained. So, I need to offer generosity or receive generosity, is what the cards are telling me. I think I need to offer myself some generosity just in the fact that I've produced something, whether or not I feel like it's not up to my standards yet, or whether or not I feel like I'm emotionally engaged in that work right now. I do have this body of work. I have this rough draft. It's a number of pages. Probably need to cut it down. Also need to add some things, but there's a lot of work there, and yeah, I just, when I hear that, I hear it validating my desire to just test it, put the work out there, and see what other people think. Be generous to myself, and maybe my tune will change a little bit if I see people having fun, or if I see my playtest group not having fun. Maybe that'll motivate me because I'll know why they're not having fun or how to fix it. The last thing I definitely am reading from that is I need to open myself up to your generosity. Yes, you listener, viewer. So that's gonna be it today. That's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. But I want to open myself up to your generosity. So please make sure that you're subscribed on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you put that RSS feed in. And then on YouTube, you can subscribe there if you watch the video of me. Hello. I would really appreciate that. And if you would like to buy me a coffee, if you like my work, if you've been enjoying listening, or want to support the Ultimate Dungeon Cleaner project, excuse me, or if you would like maybe a card read, I would be happy to. But you can buy me a coffee for a one-time donation. Buymeacoffee.com/sodabags, SODABAGS, sodabags. That's buymeacoffee.com/sodabags. The link will be in the show description notes, etc. I'm hoping to have a mystery guest next week. Having my first guest since the Great Question 2020 reboot. So thanks again for joining me here, and see you next time. Bye-bye.